had some information on your tables or some other stuff here, and if you have any questions, let me know. Before we get started, we are having an outing next week to the new Bureau of Land Management operation just north of Lake Pleasant. Who's coming on that? Okay, we're gonna meet. It's I think it's called Church Camp. It's 4 outdoor ranges. It's just pistol and rifle. It's not shotgun. We're gonna meet at Meet a Club at 9:30 and just kind of caravan out there. It's about 20-25 minutes. Brand new place. There's no reservations, there's no rangers there, so I don't know if it'll be crowded or not. So we'll go up there and we'll just check it out. Should be a nice day for that. Pardon? Yeah, we're gonna meet in Meet a Club. Meet there and then we'll carpool, we'll caravan one way or the other. Okay, question about guns.
Yeah, I was just having an issue with a Ruger SR-22. I was wondering if anybody had a local gunsmith that they think highly of that I could call and have them check this out. Okay.
You have that list that you created, though?
Yes, I do.
Right there.
And I've got a recommendation for a fellow by the name of John Brooks.
The guy that was here last month.
Yeah, John was here last month.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, with that, I'll turn it over to Bob.
I got a question. How long is this gonna take?
We're about an hour.
Oh, okay, good.
How long do you want it to take?
I gotta take my wife to the mountain ballet. I prefer to stay here. Thursday here.
All day, Bob.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much for inviting me back. I really appreciate it. We're going to talk about how to shoot better. And we're going to talk about defensive shooting and fundamentals. This is me. My name is Bobby Schneider. I'm a retired Denver, Colorado policeman. I spent 21.5 years in the Denver Police Department. 18 of those I was on our department's full-time special weapons and tactics team. I am a certified firearm instructor. This is really bad to say. I'm in my 5th decade as a certified firearm instructor. Does that make me an older guy? Oh. I do have a degree in criminal justice from Metropolitan State University. That really doesn't mean anything for today. I did used to work at Heckler & Koch. Anybody here own a HK? No? Good. Because you have to be a rich dude to own a HK gun. I also used to work at the 6 Hour Academy. I also worked for 25 years up at Gunsight Academy. Raise your hand really high if you've ever heard of Gunsight. You ever been there? Anybody been to Gunsight? Nope. Okay. Highly recommend it. It is the world's premier small arms academy in the world, right here outside of Prescott, Holden, Arizona. Highly recommend it. I have been a victim of an assault. I have used deadly force. You don't care. I've been an expert witness. You don't care. I'm also a lifetime member of the NRA, United States Concealed Carry Association. And that last one up here, that's the Colorado Firearms, Colorado Law Enforcement Firearms Instructor Association. So that's me. In front of you are a number of things. There is a defensive shooting fundamental book. I sell that book. It's $20 today. Normally $35. You're in college right now. Cool. So my son, he looked at this book and he said, Dad, if I had to get this book for a college class today, they would charge me $125 to read. It is a textbook. So I'm offering that at a significant discount. I have a few copies. There are some in front of you. And if you would like to get that book, I would highly recommend that you grab it. Anybody here a garage sale or seller goer tour? Go to garage sales. Anybody here go to garage sales? So there's etiquette at a garage sale. And the etiquette is once you pick something up off the table, it is yours to talk to the owner of the whatever it is off the table. As soon as you set it down, somebody else can grab it and pick it up. That is garage sale etiquette. Same thing's true here. There's a couple on every table. There might be more than 2 of you at a table. So if you want it, you better grab it. And then I'll take that, I take cards or credit card, Bitcoin, gold. First male born, I kind of gave up on that. I have enough kids now, so first male born is not allowed. Also in front of you should be a handout for today. That is kind of a brief outline of the slides that I'm going to go over. You should also have a pen so you can take copious notes on that paper. We'll also have a target, a great target. If you don't have any of this stuff, just raise your hand. We'll make sure to get it to you. Oh. Some help. There we go. And then also in front of you is my concealed carry class. It's normally, I'm doing a special for you guys. It's normally $79. I'm doing a special for you guys at $20. So if you want to sign up for that, it's going to be Sunday this week from 9 until 1. QR code, just hover your phone over that QR code and you can sign up for that class, $20. It is at the Bell Road in the 101 at a Holiday Inn Express next to Cracker Barrel. Thank you. So fairly close to you guys here. Not too early in the morning, not too late. Yes, ma'am.
I got a question about that.
Shoot.
Our main home's in Georgia, and that's where I got my concealed carry. If I let it expire. Now, if I get one here, it's not good in Georgia.
I believe it is good in Georgia. So if you get an Arizona concealed handgun, it's good in 37 other states. Right off the top of my head, we're talking California, Oregon, Washington, New York, New Jersey, some of the Northeast states, but I believe it is available in Georgia. It's still good in Georgia. What's really cool about an Arizona concealed handgun permit, you do not have to be a resident of the state of Arizona to be able to get a permit. So if your main residence is out of state, you can still get an Arizona.
I can still get an Arizona. All right, does that, somebody said that you have to have ID. So,
You have to have a government issued identification, yes.
and does that cancel my Georgia driver's license?
No. Your concealed handgun permit has nothing to do with driving a car. Is that?
Yeah, well, that's what I thought too, but somebody said.
On the back of the book that you're gonna purchase is my name and my phone number. Feel free to text me any questions that you may have at any time. I also have business cards up here at the front. If you'd like to take one of my business cards. So if you ever have any questions, don't ever hesitate to text me a question and I'll get right back to you. If you call me, I probably won't answer because I think that you're going to try to sell me extended warranty or give me some better deals on my health insurance. So give me a quick text. Yes, sir.
I don't want to interrupt your thing, but I have a South Dakota driver's license, I got a Colorado ID, and they canceled my license in South Dakota.
If you got a Colorado identification card, that has nothing to do with driving.
I understand, but
So you do not have a driver's license.
I went back to South Dakota and got it. And now, but I'm not going to get an ID again because they're canceling it.
Why would you get a Colorado identification card?
What if I got in Arizona, not resident, you want you to have an ID card.
Yes, so to be able to purchase,
I lived for 17 months out of the year. I want to get that ID card.
to be able to purchase a firearm, a handgun in the state of Arizona, by federal law, you have to be an Arizona resident. So you can get an Arizona ID card, which my friend has, and a Colorado driver's license. His Arizona ID card did not cancel out his. And for a while, I had an Arizona driver's license and a Colorado driver's license, and they were both valid.
things that can buy a handgun.
My understanding with an Arizona identification, you can purchase a handgun from a Arizona federal firearms license dealer. Hi,
Not concealed like Arizona concealed fires in September.
you can start the process, the renewal process 90 days prior to its expiration. If you go to azdps.com, you can get all the information to be able to do that renewal. It's all done over the by mail, or you can drive it down there.
Oh, really? Okay.
And no training is required for that renewal. Any other questions before we get started? Okay, great. Now, feel free to ask any question that you have. I am not an attorney. I can't give you legal advice, so I'll give you my best answer. So we're going to start with the 4 universal gun safety rules. Jeff Cooper, the guy that started gun sight in 1976, way before you guys were born, is credited with writing the 4 universal gun safety rules. So safety rule number 1, we're going to treat all guns as they're always loaded. We're always going to perform a clearance check every time we pick one up. So what that means is that when you come in contact with the gun, I want you to check to see if it's either loaded or unloaded. Even if we know that it's unloaded, we're still going to treat it with the same respect as we would as if it were loaded. So safety rule number 1, all guns are always loaded. Too many unloaded guns have shot and killed people. I don't know how that happens, but unloaded guns, we just treat them as though they're loaded. Okay, Bob, how do I treat a gun as though it's loaded? Good question. Safety rule number 2. Never point your gun at anything you're not willing to destroy. So when I wear my gun, where is it pointing? Down the ground. When I get home tonight, I'll take my gun out of my holster, put it on my nightstand. Of course, I point that gun towards my pillow, right? You're not. Let's see if you guys are awake this early. No, I put it away from my pillow. So you have to determine what that safe direction is. So at the shooting range, that safe direction is going to be downrange. In my house, I have a concrete brick wall that I point my gun at when I want to load it or unload it. At your residence, up may not be a safe direction, down may not be a safe direction. But usually when we look at 2 walls come together and the floor, that corner is usually a good place to start if you need to try to find a safe direction in which to point your gun. So make sure that you always point your gun in the safe direction. So never point your gun at anything you're not willing to destroy. Safety rule number 3, keep your finger off the trigger, outside the trigger guard until you're on target and you've made a decision to shoot. So in this case here, Kathy is pointing her gun in a safe direction, but she is not ready to shoot. So if she has her trigger finger straight alongside the gun, we call that position high index. Why do we call that high index? It's index finger and it's high alongside the gun. Let me give you this heads up, guys. Gun guys aren't real smart. Okay, her finger is up really close to that top part of the gun. What does the top part of that gun do? What's it? Let me back up. What's the top part of that gun called? Slide. What do we call the slide? It slides back and forth. Hey, what do you think the function of the trigger guard is? What's the trigger guard's function? It's called guarding the trigger. The trigger guard guards the trigger. Remember, gun guys aren't real smart. So in this case here, we're going to keep our fingers straight alongside the gun until we're ready to shoot in that high index position. Bob, why do we do that? Good question. Under stress, which usually I am under a little bit of stress when I'm shooting my gun. 3 things can occur when you're under stress that will make you close your hand. Number 1, interlimb interaction. Basically what that means, if I take my support side hand and I grab something with 100 pounds of pressure, I'm grabbing this with 100 pounds of pressure. So my brain is telling my hand to close with 100 pounds of pressure. About 10% of that's going to trickle down my spine and go to my other hand. So if my gun is in that other hand and I have 10%, of that 100 pounds here, how much is on my gun here? 10 pounds. You didn't know you were gonna have to do math for this. So what's the poundage on my 1911? It's about 4.5 pounds. So if my finger slips into that trigger guard, which guards the trigger, my gun's gonna go bang, bang. So that's why we keep our trigger finger high alongside the gun, because now I'm just gonna press up against the side of the frame, the side of that slide with that 10 pounds of pressure. And my hand will not, or my trigger finger will not slip into the trigger guard and jump on the trigger. The second one is startle effect. If you get startled, we want to clench our hands. So this happened to a range that I did some consulting for in Colorado. We've got a young man and his girlfriend in a shooting booth, and he's a very experienced shooter because he watched it all on YouTube. So he knows everything about guns. And he takes his girlfriend into the range, and she knows nothing about guns. He puts a revolver, a high caliber revolver, in a big gun. And he's getting her all adjusted with her stance and everything else. He has her press the trigger, and the gun goes boom, and she just about jumped out of her shoes. And she took kind of a little step back in the shooting booth. So he grabbed her by her shoulders to make sure that she didn't come out of the shooting booth at this single range. And she was startled. Guess where the next round went?
Ceiling.
Actually, it went into the side wall, you know, in a shooting booth, and so we have those shooting walls, went into the wall in the booth that she was in. Good thing that wall was bullet resistant, and that projectile did not go through the wall, because she was startled, and when you get startled under stress, you will clench your hands. The last one is stumble effect. Anybody here a hunter-gatherer? Raise your hand really high if you're a hunter-gatherer. I hunter-gatherer at Safeway. So hunter-gatherers have a tendency to go out into the woods, and they're tromping around looking for that next meal, right? And all of a sudden they trip in the field, and they're starting to fall. And we want to clench our hands to catch ourselves from falling. If your gun is off safe, which a lot of hunters tromp around the woods because they figure they don't have time to take the safety off, right? Because they're not that experienced in shooting. And so now that trigger finger slips onto the trigger, and what does the rifle or the shotgun do? Goes boom. That's why we keep our trigger finger straight alongside the gun. Again, we call that position high index. Any questions with that? So safety rule number 3, keep the trigger off the trigger, outside the trigger guard, until you're on target and you've made a decision to shoot. Safety rule number 4, always be sure of your target and beyond. So let's go back to the shooting range, and I have my favorite target in front of me. And beyond that, it's going to be the bullet trap. I was just at a Ben Avery, and Ben Avery. So cool. I was at a Ben Avery a couple of Fridays ago. And we're in one of the booth, we're second class, and we're in one of the shooting ranges. So we're downrange, and in front of us is this great big hill, and on the other side of the hill is a great big mountain. So I knew what was past my target and what was beyond the target. So as long as I made sure that all my bullets went through the target, and then the bullet would land into the impact area of the bullet trap. Or in this case here, the mountain, right? So that's pretty simple at the shooting. Now let's go to the middle of a parking lot at Walmart. There's a bad guy that needs to be shot like right now. Let's talk about this. What's in front of him? What's on either side of it? What's beyond it? Can I say some no shoot targets? Yeah, so if you find yourself in a position where you're going to shoot a bad guy, only shoot the bad guy. You're not shooting good guys. That's a bad thing.
Yeah.
If you feel that you might accidentally shoot a good guy, do not shoot. Just get yourself in a better position so that you only shoot the bad guy. So safety rule number 4, always be sure of your target and what's beyond it, what's around it. We believe that if you live by these 4 universal safety rules religiously, you will never, ever, ever have a problem with a gun. So let's just go over them really fast. Safety rule number 1, all guns are always loaded. And how do I treat them that way? I always point my gun in the safe direction. You have to determine what that safe direction is. I always keep my finger off the trigger until I'm ready to shoot. And number four, I'm always sure of my target and what's around it. So again, if you live by these four universal safety rules religiously, you will never, ever, ever have a problem with a gun. Learn these, share these with your family and friends. They're not just range rules, they are life rules. Okay. Questions about that? Cool. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to shoot better, and it's going to start with the fundamentals. So we're going to talk about our grip. This is on page 60. It starts on page 60 in the book. So if you want to look at the book and follow along in the book as well as look at the big screen here, you can do that. So with my shooting hand, I'm right-handed. I'm going to take the web of my hand, the area between my thumb and my index finger, the web, and it's going to come up as high as it can on the back strap of the gun. My middle finger is going to come up as high as it can underneath the trigger guard. My two other fingers just wrap around with it. And then I keep my trigger finger straight. Who remembers what we call that position? I index. Very good. So that's how I'm going to have my shooting hand. In my case, I'm right-handed. So that's my shooting hand. I'm going to introduce my support side hand now. So I'm going to take the palm of my support side hand. I'm going to stick it, my palm, in that big opening right there. So that my palm is touching the side of the gun. I'm then going to take my index finger on my support side hand, my left hand. It's going to come up as high as it can underneath the trigger guard, and then my other finger is going to wrap around with it. My left thumb is going to lay on the side of the gun. My right thumb, my shooting side thumb, is going to lay on top of my left thumb. So both of my thumbs are on the same side of the gun. This is what it looks like on the other side. So I have fingers over fingers, thumbs over thumbs. Then I'm going to push, excuse me. Then I'm going to push with this arm. I'm going to pull with this arm. I'm going to squeeze my palms together. Push, pull, squeeze. Think of squeezing like you take an orange, you cut it in half, and now I'm going to squeeze the juice into a glass or a bowl. Or a lime, I'm squeezing that using my palms into my summertime drink when I'm sitting in the backyard. So you're going to push, pull, squeeze your palms together. This is a very firm grip. You need to have a very firm grip on the gun so it doesn't jump out of your hands. So very important to have a very good grip. Push, pull, squeeze, fingers over fingers, thumbs over thumbs. What questions do you have for me about this group of slides? Cool. Next, we're talking about our shooting stance. It usually starts from our head and goes all the way down to my feet. We want to train the way we fight. So in this case here, I want to create that neural pathway, you might hear it called muscle memory, into my body so that I can react to an action, and I just do it automatically. You may think it's a little awkward at first, but we try to use it simple. At SIG Academy, we call it simple is good, which is a great thing. I was looking for a page number in the book for this group of slides, but I'll come up with it here in just a minute. So it's going to be neutral and natural. Raise your hand really high if you drive a truck or a car. Keep your hand up really high if you've ever had a slam on the brakes because of an emergency that happened in front of you. Cool, put your arm down. Did you consciously think about taking your foot off the gas, moving it over to the brake and slam on it? No. Consciously do that. How did we do that? Instincts, it's actually called, so instincts is something that I was born with. Am I born with that skill? It's a learned skill. How did I learn it? Practice, repetition. How often do we drive? Too often, can I say that? And so 100 years ago, when Bob was first learning how to drive, my braking skills weren't that good. And my reactions were pretty slow, but now I'm pretty good about being able to do that because I have lots of training and experience on doing it. So this fundamental has to be ingrained naturally into your system, into your neural pathways, your muscle memory. So what do I have to do to be able to get those, build up that muscle memory? What do I have to do? Practice. How often does Bob practice with his gun? Well, let me back up. How often does Bob drive? Too much. How often does Bob practice with his gun? Not enough? As much as I can. I actually practice about 5 times a week. For about 10 or 15 minutes, I'm a guy and I can only do things for about 5 or 10, but 10 to 12 minutes. I can't do anything longer than that. And I do that with a dry gun. We call that dry practice, and we'll talk about that more specifically here. Who wants to guess the condition of my gun in the dry practice? What's the condition of my gun?
Unloaded.
Unload. Great. So I unload my gun and I do my dry practice 10 or 15 minutes, 5 times a week. And then I go to the live fire shooting range. I like to try to go once a week. It's been about twice a month here lately. But I like to go once a week to validate what I'm doing at home at the live fire shooting range. So I am working on trying to build up that muscle memory, that neural pathways, so that I can automatically go into that subconscious mode if I need to get my gun out and shoot one. Does that make sense? So how often do we need to practice? A lot. To be able to get that. So I'm gonna train the way I fight. And I'm going to try to make it simple because, again, at the SIG Academy, we call it simple is good. So we're going to use a neutral and natural stance. The way I naturally and neutrally stand is just the way I'm going to stand. So my toes are going to be facing the target. My knees, hips, and shoulders are facing the target. And my head is straight and erect in the sky. Just like I'm standing right now. Just naturally. Next, I'm going to take my gun with proper grip. I'm going to extend my arms and bring the gun up parallel and at eye level with my gun, with a target. Again, my head is straight and erect in the sky, so I bring my gun to my head. I don't bring my head to the gun. And then next, I'm going to lean forward. I'm going to roll my shoulders forward. I'm going to lean into the gun. Why is it important in combat shooting, in defensive shooting, that I lean into the gun? We actually call that recoil management, so I don't fall backwards. If I stand up straight and I shoot my gun, where's that recoil going to take me? Straight back. Okay. If I lean into the gun, where's that recoil going to take me? It's going to keep me in the same position because I'm fighting that force, that equal and opposite force that's coming out of my gun. Newton told us that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. I don't know which. Anybody here a physicist? I heard some math guys earlier. So let's just say there's 100 pounds of pressure coming out of that gun. I'm just doing that as a number. How much pressure is going in the opposite direction? 100 pounds. What's really cool about semi-autos is some of that 100 pounds of reaction is actually absorbed into the gun to make it slide through. So you have less felt recoil with a semi-auto versus a revolver. Anybody here shoot revolvers? Yep. So you got equal amount of pressure coming back as you do going downrange. So the cool thing about semi-autos, they actually absorb some of that energy that's required to make the gun work. Yeah, but Bob, semi-autos, they have a tendency not to work right. How long have semi-automatic pistols been around? Let's take a guess. 1911. When was it? How much before did John Browning build design in 1911? 1904 was the first one, and then the final patent came out in 1911. So they've been around for a while. They got them figured out. They do work. So don't be afraid of a semi-auto thinking that it's not going to work because they're very reliable. Remember, a gun is just a machine. I don't put gas or change the oil or keep the maintenance up in my car, how long is my car gonna go? Yeah, until it does. So in this case here, a gun is just a machine. You have to keep it clean. You have to lubricate it. You have to maintain it. If you have problems with it, you gotta find a suitable gunsmith or an armorer to be able to fix it. So that you can get those firearms working correctly. Who had the 1022? What are you experiencing problem?
There's, I can no longer get the bore brush down the barrel to clean it. So there's some impediment in the barrel. It's not blocked, but it's restricted. I was thinking it might be a good idea to fire a few rounds down there to clean the barrel out. But on second thought, I thought a gunsmith would be a better solution.
So I might be able to help you out with that. So if you get a book or get my card and just send me a quick text message, just say, hey, Bob, can you help me with this? I might be able to help you with it. If you say that if you look down the barrel, you can see all the way down the barrel. So 100 years ago, when we used to shoot revolvers on the police department, we shot lead exposed ammunition. And in the barrel, there are grooves and they're called lancing grooves. And it's a twist. And with lead exposed ammunition, which my 22 caliber ammunition, a lot of it's lead exposed, some of that lead will scrape off into those lancing grooves. If I'm saying things that you don't understand, don't worry about it. And so what we used to do is after we shot our qualification course with our lead exposed practice ammo, we would shoot a couple of rounds of full metal jacketed ammo to help clean that lead out. Did it work? Sometimes, but not always. So sometimes that lead buildup will keep your barrel just restricted just a little bit, but I might be able to help you clean that out. Okay, so before you spend that extra money, let me see if I can help you.
Okay,
Cool. Are you shooting lead exposed ammo?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, probably. A lot of my 22 caliber ammunition is lead. So I can think that might be the issue. So we can get that thing. Okay. So questions about my neutral and natural stance. I'm going to extend my arms out. I'm going to push pull. I'm not going to lock my elbows. I'm going to try to keep my elbows bent just a little bit. Why do I keep them bent just a little bit? It's a shock absorber. I used to watch the Olympic ski bump. Skiers, anybody here see those guys ski? And there's big bumps and their knees are going. And what's their head doing? Still. It's not even moving. So those elbows being bent a little bit give me a little bit of a shock absorber. Plus, it's easier to push pull when my elbows are bent. If I have a locked right arm, I don't know, right hand, I can't push. But if I have a little bend in it, I can push because again, I'm going to push pull squeeze for my grip. Okay. Oh, this is on page 57 in the book. Woohoo! Didn't find that. Next, I'm going to align the muzzle to the target. We're going to talk about sight alignment, sight picture. This is on page 47 in the book. So here I got my bad guy on the left. He needs to be shot like right now. So now I bring my gun up to eye level. And I'm looking at those three white dots. That middle white dot is actually on the front sight. Here's a test question for you guys. We did not talk about it. We'll see how much you guys know about guns. What's just below the front sight? The barrel. What comes out the barrel? The bullet. So the bullet's going to hit my bad guy somewhere where that middle dot is. So I'm going to align the sights. That's called sight alignment. And then I'm going to put those aligned sights on the target. We call that sight picture. Sight alignment, sight picture. So talk to me more, Bob, a little bit more about sight alignment. Okay. So in this picture here, we are aligning the sight. I changed the front sight to be a green dot instead of a white one. So the front sight is a post. And it's got that green dot. The rear sight has wings and a notch. So to align those sights correctly, I put the front sight in the middle of the notch where I have equal amount of height and equal amount of light between the front sight and the rear sight. Equal height, equal light. We're going to talk about 3 different ways to align my sights on my bad guy in defensive shooting. So I'm going to do unsighted fire. I'm going to do target focus, and then I'm also going to do front sight focus. So unsighted fire is if my bad guy is standing on top of me, and I can't bring my gun up to eye level, but we're so close that I could just present my gun maybe at on my side or on my hip, and I can just go ahead and press the trigger, and that will hit my target. But really, I like to bring the gun up to eye level. So this is target focus. Here I'm focusing on the target, but I can still see my sights. Yes, everybody agree with that? Are my sights out of focus? Yes, absolutely. But I can still see that green dot. So I know that if I have good trigger control, I can actually put that bullet somewhere where that green dot is. So this is target focus. This works really well for close targets. Let me borrow you for a second, young man. Just put your arm out like this. Cool. Let me put your hand down. This is how close defensive gunfights are with a pistol. This is how close they are. So here, I'm probably going to be staring at my target, and then my sights are going to be out of focus. Well, Bob, why are my sights out of focus? Good question. Our eyeball can only focus on one plane at a time. So let's say this is my gun. My thumb represents my rear sight. My index finger represents my front sight. And then I have the target downrange. My eyeball can only focus here or there at one time. And when you guys get to be my age, it's really tough to see that front sight without my readers. So when you guys get to be my age, you'll kind of understand. So in this case here, it's very easy for me to have target focus, but I still need to make sure that I can see my sights so that I know that my gun is pointed in the right direction. By seeing those sights out of focus, because again, I can't focus on all 3 of those planes at the same time. I'm going to be able to know that the bullet is going to hit my bad guy somewhere close to where I'm at. Front sight focus is actually the way I learned how to shoot. I learned how to grab that front sight with my eyeball as soon as I could. So in this case here, that green dot is crystal clear. Those 2 white dots on the rear sight are out of focus, and the target's out of focus. But again, I know that I can only focus on one thing at a time. So let's do this. Let's do a little exercise. What I want everybody to do is to take your shooting side hand. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to use my right thumb and put it in the sky. Excuse me. Now what I want you to do is to put that right thumb right in the middle of my body. I want you to try to focus on your thumbnail as best you can. So now I'm going to be blurry, right? Now, as I move, can you continue to keep that front sight, that thumb on me as I move? Even though you're not focused on me, you're focused on your thumb as best you can. So a lot of people go, well, Bob, I can't track my target if I'm focused on my front sight. You guys just did it.
Supposed to see double vision on this?
You might need to close an eye. You might need to close an eye.
Okay.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, okay, good. I just learned that. All right.
Yeah. So I am right eye dominant, which means my right eye receives the information, and my left eye is just there. Some people are cross dominant, where I shoot right-handed, but my left eye is the dominant of the 2. As we get older, sometimes our eyeballs start to fight with each other because they both want to be dominant. Or they both want to not be dominant. So what we can do, and I hadn't planned on doing this, but we could do this. Let's do a little eye dominance test just for giggles. So let's pick something in the room. Let's use this clock right here. And what I want you to do is I want you to put your hands together just like this, but I want you to make a small circle with your hands. And what I want you to do is bring your hands down to your waist level. And then I want you to keep both eyes open. I want you now to stare at the clock, bring your hands up to your face, and put that clock in your vision with both eyes open. Now slowly bring your hands back to your face. And your hands are actually going to come back to your dominant eye. Might need to do it a couple, 3 times. And sometimes I'll have students do it and they come back to their right eye and then they come back to the left eye. And they're going back and forth. Now let's say you realize that you're right-handed, but your hands came back to your left eye. Not a problem. A percentage of the population is cross-dominant. Baseball players, anybody here like baseball? About 90% of our baseball players are cross-dominant. Why is that? So if I'm a right-handed batter and you're the pitcher, I'm in the batter's box and here's the plate and I'm looking down range. What eye is closer or more easily, naturally looking at my pitcher? My left eye, which would make me cross-dominant. If you see a batter get into the batter's box and he has an open stance where his front foot, which is the closest to the pitcher, is opened up just a little bit. And now he turns his body because he's actually right-eye dominant. And now he puts his right eye at the pitcher so that he can see that ball coming faster. So where's my mouth? Yes, sir.
I was, watching baseball. I always thought because how they like to be stance, but I've never known that. It's interesting for a pitcher or a hitter, you like this, and then moving is you see a lot of, not a lot of here, but you see hitters when they're moving like that, so that makes sense. That's interesting.
So let's say I'm left eye dominant. I'm a right-handed shooter and I'm left eye dominant. All I do is I just move my gun on the other side of my nose. So here to that side of my nose. So you only have to move your gun as wide as your nose is out here. You don't have to tip your head or turn your head or guys teach all kinds of crazy things. All you have to do is just move the gun to the other side of your face. Or what you can do, right-handed shooter, left eye dominant, you can close your left eye. So if your left eye is closed, which eye now is dominant? Now I had a team member, he was cross-dominant, and I'm teaching him how to shoot an MP5, which is a submachine gun HK F1 Post MP5. He was cross-dominant, and so he's right-handed shooter. He's got the gun; it's a long gun. Up, he's put his face on the stock, and now he's trying to look at the front sight. But because he's cross-dominant, his right eye is directly behind the rear sight and front sight. Does that make sense? And he was having a tough time. I said, just close your left eye. So when he closed his left eye, he also closed his right eye. I said, dude, you got to keep your right eye open. He says, I can't do it. He was the kind of person that when one side of his body did one thing, his other side of the body did exactly the same thing. He didn't last on our team very long because I couldn't get him to shoot. He could shoot his pistol, but he couldn't shoot a shotgun or a rifle or a submachine gun very well because of his eye problem. I had another friend of mine. He was a pretty good trap. Is it skeet that has 2 houses and trap has 1? He was a skeet shooter and he was cross dominant. So he always took his glasses. He put a piece of clear Scotch tape across his left eye, which then caused his right eye to be dominant because he couldn't see with his left eye, which was his dominant on that shotgun. Unfortunately for him, he couldn't walk around doing police work with a piece of tape on his glasses all day. So he just did that when he needed it. So that's another thing you can do to cheat or whatever. Anybody here realize that they're cross dominant when they're shooting their long gun, their rifle or shotgun? Handgun. So that's where it comes up. Okay, let's move on.
Question for that?
Yep.
Should you try to have both eyes open when you're shooting?
In combat shooting, I like to have both eyes open. If you can, sometimes if I have to take a precise shot, I'll close one eye for just that shot. Trigger control. So I teach trigger control. There's two definitions I need to give you. First one's called break point. It's on page 82 in the book. Second one's called the reset point. So when I press the trigger, I'm putting my finger on the trigger, press it straight to the rear, and the gun's going to go bang. We should call this the bang point, but we don't call the break point. So I press the trigger, and the gun goes bang. I then relax my trigger finger until I can feel or hear a mechanical click or clunk. That is known as the reset point. That's the second definition I need to give you. And then I can relax, or after I relax that, I can press the trigger again, make it go bang, relax my trigger finger, get to the reset point, press it again, make it go bang. So we have a thing called the ballpoint pen test. Let me switch up here. And so hopefully everybody got a ballpoint pen. Yeah. What I want you to do is take your ballpoint pen in your shooting hand, put your trigger finger on the top of the plunger. I want you to slowly press, and you're going to feel a click. That's the break point. Your trigger finger, not your thumb. There you go. Now I'm going to release the plunger, and I'm going to feel another click. That's the reset point. Press the trigger, click, reset. So now you're practicing trigger control. I want you to maintain contact with your trigger finger the entire time that you're on, your finger is on the trigger. I'm not coming off, I'm maintaining control. Now, how long in a day can I do this? All day long. Until my girlfriend goes, would you knock that off and start with me? Right? So you can practice trigger control all day long. Remember I told you, we have to practice to be able to create those neural pathways, that muscle memory. So here you're actually practicing trigger control. This is not in the book. This was given to me by a friend of mine. His name is Mike Hughes. Mike Hughes was a lieutenant in the Denver Police Department. He was also a range master with me at Gunsight. Unfortunately, Mike passed away at a plane crash about 5 years ago. But I always give credit where credit's due. When somebody teaches me something new, and I try to learn something new at every class I go to and do, I always give credit where credit's due. So I give Mike Hughes credit for creating this ballpoint pen drill. So when we go to the range, we're going to talk about range etiquette and safety. So we want to maintain the 4 universal safety rules. Also follow any specific range rules that you have at your range. You want to learn and know what the basic commands are. So if you have any questions on what those commands are, make sure you ask. Listen to the instructors or the safety officers and just follow their direction. Well, I always want to wear eye and ear protection when we're at the range. I always like to wear a baseball hat also, because in my case, I shoot semi-autos and brass flies. And I always like that brass to fly off of my hat and not between my eye protection and my face. That's an experience that you do not want to get. So wear a hat along with eye and ear protection. I even do that indoors as well as out. Well, I always want to keep ourselves and our guests safe. So whatever that means, you want to keep them safe. Be courteous of other shooters that are out at the range. Always respect the range's property. Try not to break stuff. Ask questions if you don't know. And of course, always leave the range in a better condition than what you found it. I've been out to these BLM ranges or BLM areas where people go out and shoot. And there's like washers and dryers and refrigerators full of bullet holes. Clean up after yourself. Right? Pick up your brass, pick up your targets, leave the area in better shape than what
Suggestion,
Absolutely.
you might want to wear a shirt and everything.
Yes, so,
That brass goes down.
yeah, so this is what I've experienced with boys, the brass goes down the back of my shirt. With girls, for some reason, it goes down the front of their shirt. Don't ask me why, brass knows the difference. So I worked with a range master at Gunside, he always buttoned his polo shirt top button, just to keep that all closed up. I had another friend of mine, she used to shoot with me on her lunch break at our indoor shooting range, and she would come from work, and sometimes she would have just an open, a little bit lower top, just like you have. So I always talked to her about bringing a scarf, so that she could put that scarf around her neck to keep that brass from falling down the front of her shirt. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that. We talked about hats, but really shirts are another thing. You should also wear closed-toed shoes. I really love it when people come to the range and they got the flip-flops on. Not a good look. So, closed-toed shoes, tennis shoes, whatever the case may be, and then good other clothes. When I go outside, I always put on sunscreen too. Because we live in the Valley of the Sun. I love it because I don't have to shovel sunshine like I had to do. Okay, so we're going to practice a lot, and we talked about a dry practice regimen. Some people have heard it called dry fire. I like to use fire as a live fire exercise. Dry practice is a dry exercise. We already talked about this. What's the condition of my gun when I do dry practice? Unloaded, absolutely. So there's a number of things that I can do. I am a big cert gun guy, and I have a code for you guys to do. So this is not a real firearm. The slide is red, the slide does not move. The frame, the bottom part is black, but the trigger actually goes click, reset, click, reset, click, reset. And so this is a great way to do dry practice without having to drag your real gun out of however you carry it or whatever. And so this is a way I can do my dry practice very, very safe and with all my fundamentals. A friend of mine who built this, who designed this, his name is Mike Hughes, a different Mike Hughes. He was first runner-up season 3 Top Shots. Anybody here watch Top Shots on? Is that on the History Channel? Or?
I think it was History Channel.
Yeah, so I told Mike, I said, yeah, you're the first loser, first runner-up loser in season 3. He's a competitive shooter. He built this, designed this for competitive shooting. But as I'm not that much of a competitive shooter, so I can actually do that. So when you go to their website, nextlevel.com, nextleveltraining.com, I think you have this note on your handout. If you do a discount code, you can get a 15% discount when you use that discount code. And I tried it yesterday and it works. Yes, sir.
Also has the double dots labels that really work well.
Yeah, so I understand what those are all about. I usually turn that bottom laser off. What the bottom laser does is it makes sure that when I go to the reset point, I don't go too far. Because if I go too far, that bottom dot will disappear. But now I'm looking at the dots and what really should I be looking at? My front side. So I try not to take my attention with it. Yep.
You tried those ED laser thing.
Yeah, I have access to those. I'm a simple is good kind of guy. So what I do for my dry practice target, I'll put up this guy on the wall. And then I do my stuff, and then I'll take this down because now my brain knows I'm no longer dry practicing. So I put my target up and then I take it down to do that. But those electronic using cameras and software and stuff like that, as I was talking about. The sword gun will actually work with those very well. That's just some technology that's a little bit above my head. If my 25-year-old son isn't home with me, I can't freaking say that. So that's just me. You young guys probably know all about technology. Okay. So let's go over some different drills that you can do using the target that I gave you. These drills are listed on the bottom of your handout. However, I didn't really give you very much information. So if you want to take notes about these, you can. So the first drill is called aim small, miss small. Where did we get that name from? The Patriot. Mel Gibson was the actor in there. He's teaching his sons to shoot, and his sons were going to shoot now British officers, British soldiers in the Revolutionary War, and he told them to aim small, miss small. So in this drill, you're going to get perfect stance and grip. You're going to have the target fairly close, or as far away as you want. You're going to use the black square on the target. You're going to fire one round, and you're going to try to make one ragged hole. So you're going to do all those fundamentals: grip, stance, sideline, sight picture, perfect, and then have a perfect trigger press 5 times. Then, of course, you can do it again on that bottom square, or maybe you can move the target further down range. If you're successful with your first group of 5, then with the second target, you can do the bottom square. So the first drill, aim small, miss small. This drill is not in the book, but I added it in because that's a drill that I do. The next one's called dynamic deviation control drill. It's on page 31 in the book. And basically what I do is I have my target fairly close, and then I have a perfect grip on my gun, and then I start to move my gun around like this. Because as we know that when I hold my gun out, it's actually moving. There's a little bit of movement. If you can hold your gun perfectly still, you're dead. That movement, when you're holding the gun naturally, what is that movement? What causes that movement? Breathing, heartbeat, standing, muscles tremoring. So you will be moving when the gun is extended. So what this drill does, it teaches you how much you can move your gun, yet still hit the target. So I'm going to use the big target, and I'll have the target fairly close, the big circle, the number 5 circle, and I'll just encircle that, and then I will press away. One of the things that you want to watch for is you do not want to stop the gun press. You want to maintain that movement as you press the trigger, so that you can understand that you can still hit the target fairly well, even though your gun is moving. That is on page 113 in the book. The next drill is called extend, touch, press. ETP for short. Also on page 14. You can do this in your head, or you can have your shooting partner help you. You come from a ready position. When you're given the command to extend, you extend the gun out, get your perfect gripping stance. You then touch the trigger. I like to take the slack out of the trigger when I touch it. And then I'm told to press. So in this particular drill, you can use any target on the piece of paper, and you can do it as many times as you want. Then you can do it in your head, extend, touch, press, and you're going to do each of those steps as you think about it. Again, any target, any distance during that drill. If you have proper grip and stance and have good trigger control, you'll be able to do it every time. The next drill is called the up drill. Again, you can do this in your head, or you can have your shooting partner help you with this. It is on page 115 of the book. And the up drill on the command of up, you just do extend, touch, press all at once. You don't do extend, touch, press. You extend, touch, press. So you go a little bit smoother. You're not jerky. Those of you that, might do the robot dance went out in like 85 or 86. Don't be doing the robot. It's nice and smooth. As I extend the gun out, I start to touch the trigger because my sights are on the target, take the slack out, and then when I get to that full extension, then I can press the trigger. So that's called the up drill. You don't want to be herky-jerky, you just want to be smooth. The next drill is called the balance of speed and precision. It's on page 116 in the book. So in this case here, you can do this in your head or you can do it with a shooting partner. The shooting partner is going to give you the up command and you're going to fire a number of rounds at the big number 5 circle. You might do target focus shooting this particular time of your practice. Then your shooting partner, or you can do it, will give you a number. In that case, when you get the number 1 through 4, then you will probably go to target, or excuse me, front sight focus, and carefully fire 1 round at that smaller target. So I'm going to do a balance of speed. I can shoot 3 or 4 rounds very quickly into the bigger target, then I need to slow down so that I have perfect fundamentals to be able to get that 1 round off into the target. So that target, or this drill, is called the balance of speed and precision. The next drill is called push your limits. It's on page 119 in the book. And then again, you can use any target. So I like to try to use the smallest target possible, and as far away, the target is as far away as I feel comfortable to be able to do it. So I'm either going to think in my head or my shooting partner is going to talk to me. And on the first drill, I'm going to fire 5 rounds, but it goes like this. This is the pace. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi. Then I'm going to move to another target, again, where I have the best confidence in being able to hit it. I'm going to do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Next one, I'm actually probably going to go to the biggest target. And I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm pushing my limits to see how fast I can shoot. And then if you go, man, I can't shoot that fast, I might just have to do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. When I make those counts, does that make sense to you guys about where you're pressing the trigger on the number? So it starts about 1 second between shots, and then every other, then about a half second, and then less than a second. Does that make sense? Fast as you can press it. Hey, Nick, good timing, dude. Any questions, concerns, issues? Yes, sir.
Your thoughts on airsoft or BB gun practice? For example, in your garage door closed, have a cardboard box filled with newspaper or flyers, and with airsoft, because it's so much cheaper than regular bullets, practicing your shooting accuracy, saving
ammunition. Yep. So I think they're great. In the world of airsoft, they've actually come a long way in the quality of the guns. I have some airsoft guns that were actually designed by SIG and built by somebody. I think they're probably Chinese. And they're high quality airsoft guns. And so my pellet, man, point blank. Some of them are super cheap, and I'm holding my front sight right in the middle of your body, but it hits that guy over because they're poor quality. So you want to make sure you get a high quality one. If you do that, I think that's great practice. I would rather spend the money on a SORT gun and maybe get the software that holds my target up there, and then I can tell the software to give a ding when I hit target number 5 or target number 1 or whatever. I would rather spend my money on that than airsoft, only because sometimes they're not high quality. Does that make sense? Yeah. If you have any questions about that software, it's called LARS.
And you can download that on your Mac or your PC as long as you have camera. Yes, sir.
Your recent CCW course, there was the instructor had mentioned something about simulating an elevated heart rate. And again, this is happened with the firearm and the handgun. You do like jumping jack or something to do some sort of exercise to get your heart rate going up so that when you do, let's say you're a lot of fires go away, like the beat, the radiation, that you were able to hold it, you know, with a higher heart rate and more adrenaline.
Yeah, absolutely. So at HK, so here, you guys in Korea, we talked about doing some type of an exercise to increase your heartbeat before you do your shooting drill. If I did that, I'd pass out before I started doing the drill. So when you get to be my age, you'll understand. So, but that's a great idea. Absolutely. So at Heckler & Koch in our international training division, we were teaching police officers and military guys. We actually had a drill where we had them do jumping jacks and push-ups, and then we had them run up to the line and shoot. We had another thing, we'd spray them with OC spray, and then make them run up and do a shooting. So showing them that they could still fight being contaminated with OC spray. That's it's like pepper spray. It's like mace. So we'd spray them with mace, and they'd have to run up and shoot a drill. Sucks to be them. So yeah, if you've ever experienced that, you guys in the military probably had to go through those.
Have snotzicles all over your pistol.
Yeah, exactly. So as police officers, we carry that mace, and if we had it taken away from us, so you can buy that chemical agent at a Bass Pro or Bellows or whatever. And I knew a girl, she was a realtor in Colorado. She was doing an open house. A bad guy came in and sprayed her with bear spray. And she was actually able to get her gun out of her ankle holster. She was wearing her slacks and shoot him when she was contaminated with bear spray. Some people say wasp spray. Wasp spray is for wasps. Bear spray is for bears, not for people. So there are chemical agents out there that you can carry for defensive purposes that is built for people. Ask your postman about what he is. Great point. Okay. Any other questions? So in this case here, what I want to do is I want to bring up Nick. He's going to talk to you about, so as I mentioned earlier, I'm a lifetime member of the United States Concealed Carry Association. I believe it very strongly. Anybody here a member? He'll ask you. Cool. So he'll talk to you about that, about all the benefits of being a member of the USCCA. I highly, highly, highly recommend that if you are going to carry a gun, or if you feel that you might be a victim of a crime, and you use your fists or bear spray or whatever to defend yourself, that you get yourself a plan to be able to take care of what might be taken care of. Everybody I shot as a Denver policeman, I was arrested. So if you use a gun in the state of Arizona, Colorado, Wyoming, Kansas, wherever, you will be arrested. And the reason for that is an investigation has to occur. Let's say I shoot a bad guy in the middle of my house. Guy breaks into my house, he's attacking me, I end up shooting him, I call the police come. They do not want to conduct that investigation on my kitchen table. They're going to take me to police headquarters. They're going to put me in a room. You're probably familiar with these rooms by seeing them on TV. Small table, chairs, one-way mirror, camera in the corner. And then they're going to conduct this investigation. So an investigation has to occur. They don't just give you a high five and let you walk off. They're going to conduct this investigation. As a police officer, I was actually a member of our association. So the association paid for my attorney, and my attorney was only $50,000 to show up. And then I was always cleared criminal in every police officer involved team that I was in. But guess what the surviving family did? I at least see. So now that I'm no longer a dental policeman, I don't have access to my association or the deep pockets of the city. So that's why I became a member of the United States Concealed Carry Association, because of that one benefit. There are many benefits to the association, and Nick is going to talk to you about those different benefits. And one of the benefits is training. And he's going to talk to you about a thing called the Protector Academy, which is an online training program. And Bob has a program on the Protector Academy, a training program that you're more than welcome to watch. And those of you that are members, hopefully you've already watched my training on the USCC. So let me give up the mic. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. Bob's actually a little humble. He's got a few training videos on US today, so expertise in low light. A couple others, don't you?
That's the only one that's right
One
on
on
there right now. Oh, thank you very much.
You got it. So my name is Nick Adam. I'm with Delta Defense, which is the service provider for the United States Concealed Carry Association. You guys hear me back there? Okay. Perfect. So, for lack of a better word, the USCCA exists for one main reason: to help people like us become better protectors of our loved ones. That's really the reason they exist. Okay. The three main pillars of education that you get, or I should say preparation, is mental preparation, physical preparation, and then legal preparation. So those of you that are members already, just throw out a reason why you joined.
Like civil protection.
The civil protection, okay, did you get sued? Okay, anybody else? Okay. So, and then we'll get into that here in a minute too. So we'll kind of go through all the details of that as well. So the main aspect is the mental, the first part is the mental preparation. Because you have mere seconds to react in that situation, you need to know exactly what the laws are, right? And how to react properly. Because if you choose the wrong ammo for your home defense, this is the home defense class, correct?
This is a how to shoot better class.
Oh, how to shoot better class, okay. So if you pick the wrong ammo for your home defense, if it goes through your wall and your neighbor's wall and kills his daughter or his wife, are you in big trouble?
Yeah.
So we want you to be prepared as much as possible. And the mental preparation is huge. You only have seconds to react. We want you to make the right informed decision. That's fair. The Protector Academy has over 318 video lessons, over 131 plus course lessons. Everything from defensive shooting concepts to basic fundamentals, your grip, so on, emergency first aid fundamentals, and disaster preparedness too. Okay. And as Bob was mentioning, laser cert training, that's on elite level. And that person that actually designed the laser cert system is a grand master pistol champion. So if you guys know how hard that is to get, he basically has to qualify at the 95% level against the top 10 in the world. Okay. So I figure he knows what he's talking about. Right. And make sure, even if you don't have a laser cert training system yourself, watch his video on grip. Okay, it's excellent. I'm not sure why it's not in a couple other training videos on there. So the mental aspect is huge. The second part is physical preparation. How many of you get out on the range and practice on a regular basis? It's a gun club, right? Yeah. Yep. So try and get out there on a regular basis. It is a diminishing skill set, as anybody will tell you. It's been doing it a while. So make sure you're getting out there and practicing. Okay, super important. The USCCA has 3 live fire qualifications that you can achieve through the USCCA. Those 1, 2, and 3. You're going to go through the videos and testing online. And then after that, you're going to come see an instructor like Bob. They're going to work on your fundamentals, your grip, your sight alignment, sight picture. Okay, make sure you're doing things properly. The third aspect is the legal preparation. Did you guys see the recent article on Fox News? I think it was a couple local publications. This guy was picking up brass on a range down in Casa Grande. Did you hear about this? So we do CCW classes. We go into all the CCW and defensive shooting training classes around the country. And in Arizona is my territory. Okay. One of the places we go is down on Isom Road in Casa Grande.
And this incident happened 100 yards from where we do these CCW classes. 100 yards, public range, okay? Gentleman's out there picking up grass at 5 in the morning. Two teenagers ran out of gas in their car, decided it was a good thing to go try and rip off this guy's car, okay? When they were doing that, this guy confronted them, both of them armed. And unfortunately, he lost that gun battle, and he died, okay? So it does hit home. Most people think it's not gonna happen anywhere near them. I hate to say it, but there's been about 3 or 4 incidents here in Phoenix in the last 6 months. Self-defense, okay? We're privy to a lot of them. USCCA handles a lot of defensive shooting incidences across the country on a monthly basis. Okay, I wish it wasn't that way. So go ahead, sir.
What do you offer for training in Arizona specific law about use of deadly force?
I'll answer that. Yeah, absolutely. Right. Yeah, concealed carry class is going to be the best for that. Okay. Keep in mind those concealed carry classes, they're very important what Bob goes over in those classes. Okay, make sure you have a competent instructor like Bob, right? Certified, it's very important. And then you can follow the Arizona DPS curriculum. Okay. But even if you go through that class, what changes 6 months from then? A year from then, 2 years, 5 years from then? The laws, right? So how do you keep up with the laws on your own? Okay, that's a good way to think of it. USCCA helps you with that. Okay, there's a lot of online legal resources they have. There's Ask a Lawyer video series, which is extremely popular. There's also Pro Tip of the Week and so forth. But for the law side of it, if you guys who here has downloaded the USCCA's reciprocity app? Here you go. Okay, it's an awesome app, isn't it? So those of you that travel, by the way, how many Washington State residents do we have here? A few, okay. Unfortunately, if you're residents in Washington State, I wouldn't be able to get allow you to join the USCCA. It's just your state laws. Okay. If you move your residency to Arizona, then we might be in business.
When did that change?
That's been for a while. That's due to Washington State law. New Jersey and New York are the same way. Okay, if anybody's residents of those states.
I would have never let it lapse, but I was about 5 years.
If your residency is down here, then you're good. But if it's in Washington State, unfortunately, yeah, it's just the way it is. You got it. So really, that's what it's all about. The laws is really what we're up to date on. That's where the Protector Academy is going to come in, help you stay up to date on that. The training, the latest gear, gadgets, red dots, and so on. Okay. So I passed out some brochures in front of you. So go ahead and pull this application out to show you how easy it is to join. Okay. So kind of go through some of the drills on here. So turn over this side that has 3 different membership levels. Okay. Gold, platinum, and elite. If you notice down at the bottom, if you're in a self-defense incident, let me kind of go through that. The legal preparation. If you're in a covered act of self-defense, let's go through them. You get unlimited criminal defense expenses covered. Attorney's fees, court costs, court taxes. You also get that on the civil side. You even get up to $2 million in annual insurance liability limit. That covers you in case of judgment is awarded against you in civil court or settled out pre-trial in that same civil matter. Okay, up to $2 million a year. You get $100,000 for bail expenses. Let's face it, you want to get out of jail as quickly as possible, don't you? Right? So that's what that's there for. It covers the bond up to $1 million. The other thing that have on there is $20,000 for incidental expenses. That covers biohazard cleanup of the crime scene, as well as critical replacement of your firearms. And that's going to be entered into evidence. You can get up to $750 a day in lost wages. Right? So those are some of the things on the self-defense liability policy. Because as a member, you become what's called an additional insured and self-defense liability insurance policy. The USCCA is out for their members and their association. Okay. It's very important. Those benefits are huge. So, and notice they're the same across all membership levels, right? So there's no decision to make there. All members with the same amount of coverage, if you will. Where you're making a decision is in the top part. That's the live fire qualification. You can see there the 3 check marks, 2 check marks, and 1 check mark. For the elite, that's everything the USCCA has to offer. Okay. And if you're an intermediate to advanced marksman, that's probably where I would start. Okay. But actually, the most popular level, and the one I like the most, is the platinum level. The reason I do is it's about 10 times the material, video course lessons, and so forth, of the gold level for about $10 more a month. And it has my two favorite courses on there: emergency first aid fundamentals and defensive shooting concepts. Okay, so that's why I like that level. Now you can start on whatever level you want. You are not locked in. Okay, there is no contract. And you can move up and down levels if you see fit. It will take you a while to get through those first two by far quality. If at that time you decide you want to go down to gold, save some money, go ahead, just follow up. Okay. Or if you want to move to elite, take the stopping the mass shooter friend, that laser cert training that we talked about, then you can bump it up to elite, so you know that training, then move it to whatever level you want after that. Okay, that's that. The other reason I like platinum, if you flip it over, I'm gonna talk about that here real quick. If you sign up under platinum or elite today, we give out these training kits only in class only. So I'll kind of show you what that is. You get an ammo can. See that? A hat for the range. A badge for your bag. It's important. You also get access as a member to the critical response team. So 24/7, 365. If you're in a self-defense incident, you're going to call them right after 911. They're going to get you in touch with your criminal defense attorney of your choice. Okay, you have the freedom to choose your own criminal defense attorney. So, same thing on the civil side. Okay, because we all want the best attorney company. I don't want the person that's just the first one to pick up the phone. Okay, that's why that's there. The instructions on how to deal with the after that. You also get a nice guide that I keep in my range bag all the time. It's a nice shooting concept drills that you can go through with or without an instructor. And in here, there's places to document your training, which is super important as well. Okay, if you're in a self-defense incident, after your money, the next thing defense lawyers are going to ask for is your documented training. Okay, what people really want out of this training kit is this Fox 17 replica training pistol. A lot of instructors, I think Bob has one right here too, use it for side alignment, side picture, working on your grip, so forth. I think somebody was asking about, movement and that sort of thing. I use it because I have small children, so it saves me the stress of having a potential high-loaded firearm. Okay, like Bob mentioned, you want to go the laser cert route, that's great. Mantis X, okay. And then defensive shooting drills on here, this USB as well. And there's more online that you can go through. I know I've gone through quite a bit in a short amount of time. What questions do you have?